Hello, everyone. My name is Oksana. It's Road to Edoverse, weekly Edoverse Insider, the 10th. We deliver the news about the creation of our project Edoverse. And as usual, I want to start with Mr. Tokugawa-san.
Okay, thank you, Oksana. Yes. And hello, everybody. This is Iehiro Tokugawa. I think last week I was talking about something that I had already talked about the coinage in Tokugawa, Japan. So, this is about what happens after you leave the gold standard is that you go into inflation. Okay, and my story was inflated as well as a result of the fifth shogun putting Japan off the gold standard in 1700 or something. Today, I would like to talk about the Tokugawa villages. And so what was different with the villages before or up until the Sengoku, the Warring States period, and then in Tokugawa, Japan? What was the difference? Is that, well, you see, I think I spoke already about the sense of egalitarianism that swept over Japan after the rise of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. And then the Japanese villages, up until then, they always had a samurai lord living in the village. So you go to some really remote areas where the traditional village landscape is still maintained, then you can still find some houses like that. A very big house in the middle, which is surrounded by a tiny moat. And it's big enough to keep a small military unit, like 10 men. So the whole household would have like 30, 40. Some of them would be naturally working, but and then quite a few would be the master and then all his retainers. So ready to act in case of an emergency. I'm not talking about policing, but in case of a warfare, the demands of war. And then that was abolished completely. All the samurai were put together in the castle town in each daimyo domain, the largest which was Edo. And why was this done? My guess is that, so everyone has a sense after Toyotomi that, of equality. So there's a samurai and then I am a farmer. The word peasant probably doesn't apply very well. So why is that guy lording over me? So, in that sense, could be explosive when it is felt all over Japan. So the solution was to quarantine the bullying samurais into the castle towns. So the Tokugawa villages, in direct contrast to the image you have of a feudal society, the villages were the farming. Mostly the farming villages were autonomous. And another interesting feature is that the taxes were paid not by the household, but by the village as a whole. So this is this I think is an expression of the governance philosophy of the Tokugawa, is that we forced people to cooperate with each other. So there's this institution, this rule of the goningumi, like 5 households put together. And if someone commits a crime, the rest, failing to have prevented that crime, would be punished together. So this sounds totally illiberal, but you have to remember that this was right after the long era of civil wars. People couldn't trust each other. So this is basically forcing the society to accumulate some social capital. And the same thing could be said of villages. So and then policing was pretty effective. So there's a lazy villager, okay? So like 90% are hardworking, there are 10% that are lazy. Then it was up to the remaining 90% to make these people work harder. So their contribution to the village tax would become larger. So, and this is the origin of, how should I say, Japanese nosiness, the idea of second. So it was people monitoring each other, but also people helping each other, especially in the villages. And another thing is that even though the Civil War period had ended and peace has returned, the village life could not be so peaceful if only because of all the larger animals. Let's say a boar for instance, or even a deer. A deer would come down to the village and eat all the young crops. A boar would eat even more. Okay, and most villages kept their own guns and bows and arrows. They're pretty well armed, but not against other people. They're against animals. And with this basis, so let's say 80% of Japanese land seldom saw a samurai. They're mostly inhabited by farmers or farming villages, which governed itself. And even the village officials who could read and write occasionally could sign his own family name in official documents. And that was a privilege. So basically treated like a samurai, but they were still farming among the commoners. And so this was called a shoya. And they had many functions, but basically it was to run the village like, let's say, I don't know, Oksana may be familiar with this, or you're born after the Soviet Union was gone, but it was like a collectivized farm, but on a profit-making and crop-producing basis. So people were forced into communities. And this solution actually worked pretty well. So I may have mentioned, but I want to repeat this again. At the beginning of the Tokugawa period, the population of Japan total was like 13 million to 15 million. And then 100 years later, it had grown to 30 million. So that's really like 2% a year, and more than doubling. And also without any famine, as the territory of farmland had expanded, had grown twofold. It doubled in 100 years. Okay, and this was also made possible by large-scale migration of the population to the Kanto Plains and to the northeast. And then from 1700 to 1750, things went very well. But in the late 1700s, or at the end of the 1700s, there was the eruption of Mount Asama, very close from Karuizawa today. And this seems to have cooled the earth as a whole. So some people attribute the French Revolution to this eruption and all the ashes and the gas that the volcano produced. And the same happened in Japan. So after that, there were a couple of pretty serious famines, especially in the Northeast. What's important is that the population of the Northeast many of them were transferred from other areas. So their social structure and cultural mores were quite different from that of traditional Japan. So even in spite of famines, there are very few cases of riots or even of complaints. So New Japan to the east of Edo, or to the east of Hakone, had developed a totally different culture, which can be seen today, which continues even to today. Osaka and Seto Naikai, and Kyushu, you could call that Old Japan, and the Kanto Plains and the Northeast are more or less created by the Tokugawa shogunate, and this you could call New Japan. It is more Buddhist and more pacifist, and not as antagonistic to China as Western Japan. So, but this migration policy and also, I'm drifting. My topic is drifting a bit, but and also, as a result of giving full incentive to the farming population, I'm coming back to the villages. So they worked hard, and as a result, towards the end Tokugawa time, so in the first half of the 19th century, nowadays I think you call it the 1800s, is that millions of farmers and peasants were traveling all over Japan. So, and they would all go to, or many of them would go to famous temples like in Nagano. Most popular was the Ise Jingu Shrine in today's Mieken. Millions, could you believe that? And this is one feature that Europeans noticed when they arrived in Tokugawa, Japan after 1860, is that why are so many commoners on the highway, pretty well dressed and apparently moving around just for fun? So, and this is the result of, accumulation of wealth in all the farming villages. So, and as a result, so the farmers got rich. It meant that the tax rates were kept at a fixed level. So and this led to the immiseration, if you will, of the samurai class. Okay, some people try to explain this in Marxist terms, but that was not the case. It's just that the original plan having worked so well that Japanese society as a whole graduated from the original samurai feudalism. Okay, I think I've spoken enough for today. Thank you, Oksana.
Thank you very much, Tokugawa-san. Very interesting how all this new Japanese culture that we can witness today formed along all these years. And also the next, I would like to ask a newcomer to our session, Mr. Mitsushi. Could you please speak?
Hello, my name is Mitsushi. I've been producing NFT-related projects and crypto-related projects for past 3 years. And I finished my crypto projects in Belgium, and I finished my crypto project in Singapore. So now I'm able to make my full commitment to this Edoverse project. I'm so happy to talk with you all and join the Weekly Insider. And actually, I'm not sure what I'm expected to talk about indeed, but I'm so happy to get involved in this unprecedented project. Symbolizes Japanese culture and worldview of Edo. Today, I had a meeting with a designer for creating a logo. I think logo is very important because that symbolizes the projects. So for users' perspective, at the point at which user recognize the logo, they come up with the idea or concept of what that project is going to be, right? So it's very important to sort of summarize and incorporate all the important elements into logo. For marketing creatives such as videos or the visuals, logo appears everywhere. So I think this is really important first step for us in terms of marketing. I think for this project, I think I will engage with this project in terms of marketing strategy, promotions, managing community. But every time I, let's say, upload the creative, the logo is there. So basically, the exposure of logo is very pretty often for viewers. So I would like to discuss with all the members here to create a best logo, which is really unique, which is really different from any other Metaverse project. From my point of view, there are many Metaverse projects right now. For example, let's say I forgot the name of some other Elysium, or I forget the name. There's Sandbox and so on. But those kind of Metaverse projects are sort of neutral. What to do is depend upon users. But this Metaverse project is really different. We have a solid foundation that is the world of Edo. Therefore, the ways in which we create logo itself should also be different from other neutral metaverse. That's, I think, the strategy behind create a logo as a whole. Sorry that I'm talking about logo too much because my resource brain is occupied with creating best logo for next 2 weeks, I think. So I think today we had a great discussion with the designer. I'm very looking forward to see our candidates' imagined designs. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Thanks, Oksana-san. Sorry that I'm very specific.
No, thank you, Mitsushi. We always appreciate the passion and ambitions about creating the best. It's actually the goal of all our team. So thank you very much. Also, the next, Dominique, could you please speak overall about our project, ideas, concepts, whatever you want?
Thank you, Oksana, and also the welcome back, actually, Mitsushi. He was just original member of Edo Bars project, but now I think he's coming in now. And also his project, that's his project to the logo of the Edoverse, which is very, very important. I'm really looking forward. And also today, Mr. Tokugawa's story was very inspired, actually, for game creating any futures, because Tokugawa Village, we didn't know that. I thought that there are some other sort of evil spirits or some kind of monsters there. But we might just get some of the sort of animals, like sort of boars or maybe deers. That is also very sort of exciting, so interesting items that we can just think of in the futures. But the Tokugawa village, actually, where we should just locate it, actually, very sort of suburbs of Edo castle territories, maybe. But firstly, that our project, because today, the last week, we discussed about a lot of project about our game, first game sort of the stories. And then our project, our business plan for this is firstly that Edo Castle was here, and the next is the quite actually high-ranked soldiers' houses were actually built, and then we just start from those kind of the big houses, just owned by the sort of high-ranked soldiers. Under the Mr. Tokugawa's or Shogun Tokugawa's. That is actually our starting point in the game, because the first that Edo Castle, just around Edo Castle, was actually really sort of Kanto plains, the normal sort of the stores, a lot of stores that, or maybe a lot of waters and also the rivers. And then we're going to cultivate, we're going to and also reclaim the land, and then we just create the land, and after this we build some big house. But the first point was it's very important areas that if you just that live in Tokyo, that in Edo Castle is the center of the Tokyo's, and then just surround the areas is more precious areas. And the first our project is we're gonna start to sell NFT land to public. So, of course, at the first point, it's not very expensive things that actually people can just join that. Now, it's nobody can just buy. That is very important. Just as around Paris areas and Tokyo's, it's super expensive, and also we cannot just buy that. We can buy that very easily. What we can do first from the game, probably after the token issued in July, we can just make some of the very constant plan that to sell the land NFTs. So that's the people can just people can just enjoy that they can just own this around the Paris in Tokyo, and then. Edo Bars, the actual Metaverse is going to just launch in public in 1 year, and probably I think in 10 months later. So the end of 2023. So when there's a real Edo Bars coming in, that the people can just hold that the piece of land just around the Edo Castle, Edo Paris, and also the whole just region of those, and then people can start to build real houses after this. So this is actually we can see. So and also that the Edo village when we can be actually in the involved these regions just into this game. But I'm really looking forward to creating this project. So we have now, so we almost just finished creating a business plan for the future. And then we're going to just create the tokenomics designs. And then I think this is totally on schedule. We will just publish very soon that white paper too. So I hope that please just fast contributors and also early sort of participants is going to be really can enjoy this program. So I hope that people can just join that from the very early stage. Thank you. Okay.
And now, may I ask Mr. Gen to speak?
Thank you, Oksana. Hello, everybody. I'd like to update something to you all. Last week, we prepared a lot of things for Edoverse. So one thing is we start to try to complete a white paper, which describes whole ecosystem, including cryptocurrency. And then, of course, this white paper is saying that what types of tokens are going to be issued, and then what types of utility tokens are going to be used in this space. And then how much is the market cap? It's still under discussion, but maybe we can say kind of good news for you. I mean, at the beginning price is like this one. And then if first investor buy this cryptocurrency, what they can do, something like that, maybe we can describe. And then the other thing is we prepared to develop kind of gaming application, which is super exciting and then quite new. In this gaming application, maybe some players can buy kind of avatar NFT, and then weapons NFT, kind of items NFT, so that the player can be, easily stronger than ever compared to other players if they participate in kind of this investment. And then we also preparing to set up foundation, supposed to be in Cayman. And then we are going to launch a kind of website, which is also describing the whole ecosystem. And then we are super excited to welcome kind of new business partner to this Edo City, Edoverse. And I think we can say at the very beginning stage, early investor can have an opportunity to participate in kind of buying like land or some spaces, kind of district. And then we are now calculating how many districts is going to be suitable for this ecosystem at the very beginning. And then how many spaces is going to be released in when. And then we also create kind of forecast, profit and loss statement for this Edoverse. So we did a lot of things last week, and then supposed to be in May, we can launch a kind of simple website with Edoverse logo and white paper. I think it's supposed to be first version, but yeah. And then in this white paper, maybe we can describe kind of regulation and governance in this gaming application. So if let's say even there's rich people, they have to behave in a good manner in Edoverse so that they can be stronger. So we cannot be stronger only with money. Even rich people could be weaker than not rich people. So I think it's going to be super exciting ecosystem. And then still we discuss with tokenomics and tokenized. So we are going to issue 2 types of token, and then what's the function of Edo Zeni and Koban is going to be defined quite soon, I guess, in May or June or something like that. So basically, on the provided timeline, we are doing our best to complete this project, and then a lot of investors and then a lot of business partners willing to join us. So I'm thrilled to announce further update within 2 weeks or 1 week. I hope maybe next Monday we can say something detailed furthermore. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ken. And also, Dominic, could you please speak overall about the project?
Thank you, Oksana. And then today, welcome back, Mitsushi. He was original member of the Edoverse project, but he was very busy there a little while that, and he came back now, and then he's now contributing to marketing. And I hope we can just enjoy that, creating Edoverse together with Mitsushi too from now. Today, Mr. Tokugawa's speech was very impressive for us to build up Edoverse ecosystem, because he's talking about Edo Village ideas, about how the village governed, and also how that sort of social system was consisted. At the same time, in the village, there are animals like birds and deers were there, and that was also, I think, it's quite sort of it's inspired idea to game creating, because original thought was that when we just cultivate land suburb of the Edo Castle, we have some monsters or evil spirits that we just battle with, that we just take it away, that then we just having a piece of land, and then we build up a house. But we also have actually boards and deers, like some of those kind of animals was inside. Maybe I think we can just include those kind of things that in the game. That was very, very interesting. And then Mr. Tokugawa's today's area is a village, but village is right sort of outskirts of Tokugawa castles, the cities. So, but the original ideas of our building is basically that we have a first Mr. Iehiro Tokugawa's Edo Castle just was there, and then we're going to just build up from around Edo Castle. We're going to just expanding the city just to build up a whole city. So at the first, our project is more. Precisely just from the next to Edo Castle, which is very, very important area in Tokyo at the moment, because if you're just coming to Tokyo, that the Edo Palace is we call the Palace. Just around the Palace, we have a lot of important properties, and then normal people can buy. But in Edoverse, we're going to just launch to sell those kind of very important plays from the beginning. So, and this is called, we're going to set up a season 1 to season 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to make some phase 1 to phase 3 that we're going to just divide the property. And then as again, just mentioned about the land things that we're going to make land NFTs, and then we're going to just divide the sort of land just around the Paris, and then we're going to just sell it to the public. So anyone can hold just very close to Paris, Edo Paris, which is we can just do just in a real world, because it's very expensive and also too prestigious. And then normally that those kind of property just never can just left to the sort of public, normal people like us. So we're going to have a big chance, but that design will be actually launched from Edo Zeni, Edo Koban will be launched from July. So we're going to just disclose this all the project, and also make the plan for those issue, and also the land NFT sale very, very soon. And then everyone just joining our project is going to be very, very happy to just having those kind of things at a really reasonable price at the beginning, because the real Edoverse is going to be launched because it's a total metaverse. If you can see, get into the city just as your Edo avatars. And that will be the end of. We are just planning to the end of 2023. So we have still 1 year and 10 months to go. But before we're doing that, we're going to just set up all the property holder, property owners, and also we're going to just start to prepare for a lot of things to just launch those the real Edoverse. So I hope people can enjoy even just before the real Edoverse is coming up. At the same time that we're going to issue the art complex platform very soon, so to combine with the Edoverse in the futures. So I hope we're going to just make some of the very cultural smells Edo cities in future, and hope many people can just join us. I'm looking forward to just meeting with all of the participants in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominique. Very exciting. I'm looking forward to all the steps you mentioned. And thank you, everyone, for today's talk. I will hear and see you next week. Goodbye. Thank you very much, Dominique. And thank you, everyone, for speaking. As usual, I'm very inspired for the week ahead. So thank you very much. And I will see you soon next week. Goodbye.